The coverage being spewed around Lewis Skelly is absolutely concerning. What's going on, people? Urson here. In today's video, we're going to be discussing everything being said about Miles Lewis Skelly following his celebration and his fantastic goal against Manchester City as Arsenal beat the Premier League champions 5-1. Imagine making your debut at 18 years old. You've come off the bench to try and help your team win the game. The Premier League champions end up getting an equaliser, and their best striker tells you, "Who are you?" You then face him again in the return fixture, and you score. And how are you gonna react when you score against the player that mocked you after a draw? In Lewis Skelly's case, for showing the biggest, utmost respect by copying one of Erling Haaland's celebrations. Erling Haaland has suffered this before Miles Lewis Skelly. PSG went through against Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League, and all their players done this celebration. They didn't win the Champions League. Back then, everybody looked at it as pure shithousery, funny. Wow, look at PSG, Haaland in the mud. But in recent days, we've had to, as Arsenal fans, be told how to behave, to be humble, that Haaland was right, you guys are not humble, when we were winning 5-1 and have emerged as one of the best squads in the country. Now, you type in Lewis Skelly onto Google and you go to the news section. The first article you see is "Wind Your Neck In." Miles Lewis Skelly and Pups Arsenal sent warning by Jason for having fun on a football pitch, for getting your revenge on a player that mocked you. Right. Miles Lewis Skelly inspires Arsenal wrote over Man City. That's a proper article. Former Aston Villa Biostar issues stern warning to Miles Lewis. What are we talking about here? Head is gone. Guardiola bizarre reaction to Skelly celebration. Joe Cole sends over celebration warning to Miles Lewis Skelly. So it's not over celebrating when Erling Haaland throws a football at Gabriel's head, telling the whole Arsenal team to stay humble, cussing a 19-year-old in the process, right? 18-year-old. But a player there, he score in one of the biggest games of his career. There he celebrated. It's absolutely crazy that an 18-year-old person of color is getting this much traction in the media, this much coverage, when on all honesty, it's not right. But let's react to this article here by Talksport and see whether this is rage bait or actual nonsense. Cundy tells Arsenal to wind their neck in. We're going to react to this.
I have to say to you now, what's the biggest needle in the game right now? You ask me. I'd say it's Gabriel and Haaland. That's only recent. That's only this season. There's no real needle, is there? There's a little bit between two clubs, but that goes historically back, right? Yeah. And I love that. A centre half against a centre forward, right? That is all for that. Yeah. Gabriel shouting in his face. Yeah, I mean, it's not wise. Just saying you'd like one of these, though, wouldn't you? No, but it's not wise when there's only 2 minutes on the clock.
Okay, what about the discourse when Heung-min Son done the shush celebration in the first half against Arsenal? They end up losing the game 2-1. Arsenal were motivated by Erling Haaland. And I'm sure that Erling Haaland's going to be motivated after that game. We might face Man City again in the Champions League. We don't know. And you think that Erling Haaland's going to look at that and be insulted by what Miles Lewis Skelly did? Miles Lewis, like, the guy's going to look at him and be like, no, I want revenge.
The Lewis Skelly stuff. Wind your neck in. I mean, I don't know what... Arsenal fans will love it, and I get why they love it. Yeah. Right? Yeah, he's one of us, one of our own. Yeah. Fine. But he's completed football. Right? And be careful what you do at that age, because... Yeah.
So what? So what if he's a completed football? So what? doesn't mean you go around throwing footballs at players' faces, telling a 19-year-old, "Who are you?" In fact, having won so many trophies in that spell of time, on that big wage, one of the best strikers, you'd think he'll be a bit more careful with what he says in the media and what he says to people, right? Because I think one of the things I've realized is that our generation of people are 10 times better without rage baiting articles and than what previous generations, the Gary Neville generations, the Sky Sports generations, because when you look at some of the other reactions, it's 10 times more mature, it's 10 times more well spoken, and it actually promotes the game in a good light.
I'm not convinced it's the wisest thing to do because, so long, there's plenty of years to come.
Yeah.
You wait. We saw what Roy Keane did to Haaland's dad. There's a.
So you think it's going to be acceptable for a footballer to try and break somebody's leg? What is incredible is that Alfie Haaland, Man City former footballer, dad of Erling Haaland, had his leg snapped by Roy Keane. This was after a game where I think Roy Keane was injured by Alfie Haaland and Alfie Haaland told him to get up. That sort of thing, leg breaking, nasty injuries, is unacceptable in football. Unacceptable. And we shouldn't be promoting violence like that. Leg breaking injuries, trying to take somebody's career away from them. That's as bad as punching somebody in the face in a club. It's aggravated assault. It's disgraceful, these sort of things. And if a journalist is allowed to come out and say this sort of thing, it makes themselves look like ridiculous. And as someone with a multimedia sports journalism degree, if I worked hard and I worked in the industry, I could be working for Sky, as some of my university friends are, or working for TalkSport, these companies. But this is why I choose not to, because it's like, they'll tell me how to behave and how I say things, but then a former footballer goes on their own show and says stuff like that. It's absolutely abhorrent. This behaviour around footballers over a celebration needs to stop. And it's promoting other people to have a similar reaction to other footballers in the future. Miles Lewis-Skelly done a celebration. Didn't go celebrating in the guy's face. He didn't laugh at him. He didn't tell him, "You're a dickhead, you're this, you're that." He was just calm. People say it was over celebrating. No, does this. I've seen Anthony Gordon do the Henry celebration where he's holding the corner flag against us in the Carabao Cup. I've seen Alexander Isak do his celebration with that. who are they? No reaction to those two goals whatsoever by Isak and Gordon, because it's fair game. Isak does that every game to every opponent. You look at Jamie Vardy doing the birdie celebration against Crystal Palace all those years ago. Iliman Ndiaye was celebrating, doing the seagull celebration. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad thing. Everton have no relations with Brighton, but it was a fun piece of shithousery. Does an Everton player think, not an Everton player, a Brighton player like Lewis Dunk, for example, think to go and snap Iliman Ndiaye's legs? Or does Gabriel think to go and snap the guy Alexander Isak's legs? No. What they think is, you know what, I want to make sure he doesn't get a chance at goal again. How can Erling Haaland not come out in the media and talk about it, but yet they react to the most humble way possible, understanding his get back? Even the celebration here, he's doing I thought that was quite funny. Quite wrong, because Arsenal have 13, Man City have 8. Arsenal have got a season unbeaten. He hasn't yet. Do you know what I mean? So it'd have been funny if he put the Club World Cup, because we haven't won that. But, when you look at his response, the way he was smiling, he wasn't angry, he wasn't trying to fight the players. He just took it. Yet the media journalists, they don't take it. They don't.
Who are Arsenal? And what have they done in the last 20 years? Seriously.
I hate this talk. Arsenal have just battered Man City 5-1. Arsenal have been unbeaten against Man City in 5 games. Arsenal have not lost in 16 games against the top 6 sides in the Premier League. Yeah, the big 6, the likes of Tottenham Hotspur, Man City, Manchester United, Liverpool, right? Chelsea.
Seriously, how can they be taking that battle there? Quieten yourselves down. You're a good side, really good team, and showed that the weekend. You're probably going to be second again.
Yeah.
When you win something, then you can shout from the houses. Then you can start.
Win something, what, and then be an arrogant prick? Why do you have to win something and then to show a little case of arrogance? If we had won the league title, these type of journalists would be like, we've only won one league title in 21 years. We could come back against Newcastle and celebrate, and everybody would be mad and be like, oh my God, it's a Carabao Cup final. Why is everyone celebrating? Why did they lose 2-0 in the first? You know what? I'll say this as a person that does watch alongs. I've over celebrated a couple of times and I deep dwelled on it. The biggest over celebration I've done this season was Gabriel Jesus scoring the winning goal against Crystal Palace. We came back in that game to qualify for the semi-finals. I threw my chair on the wall. You know why that's an over celebration? Because my wall has a massive dent.
Not doing all this housery. Then it's built on nothing other than, it comes from Arteta. He loves to promote, and it's fine. Arsenal fans would love it, and I totally get it. I watched Chelsea under Jose, right? Jose won things.
What has Jose Mourinho winning things got to do with us? Jose Mourinho came in his first conference, he was being arrogant. Mikel Arteta has not even been that type of character. He's never even been like that towards opposition. He's never even come out and disrespected the likes of Guardiola or any Tottenham manager or anybody else saying these sort of things. Arteta's not promoted nothing. Arteta's even come out and said it's what happens with the players on the pitch. They choose what they do. What Arteta promotes is a better performance from the players. Looking back to Ivan Toney, for example, he tweeted, nice kick about with the boys after beating Arsenal 2-0. This was Brentford's first ever game back in the Premier League. They played really well against Arsenal, injury ravaged, by the way, but that stuck with Arteta. And then when we played Brentford again and we beat Brentford, 2-0, Emil Smith-Rowe scoring the goals, that was in the press conference. Nice kick about with the boys. So, and this is what a lot of managers do. They provoke players into wanting the game a bit more. But Arteta already knew from what everyone had said, after that 2-2 run, that the players were going to want it. The players were waiting. Gabriel, Saliba, Skelly, Lewis Skelly, waiting. You know? He scored his first goal for Arsenal Football Club. He could celebrate how he wants.
Premier League. Back-to-back Premier Leagues.
Yeah.
He was there. You earn the right.
Yeah.
You earn the right. And right now, Arsenal haven't earned the right to be doing that sort of house.
Yes, we have. Because we've become one of the best teams in the country. Regardless of whether we won a league title or not. We've got a rivalry with City, and that should be celebrated. We've got to get back against City that hurt us in the league title race. We've got to get back over Rodri, who said that we played for a draw. That Stones get back saying, they came for a draw and they got a draw, so they should be happy. We got the get back on Bernardo Silva, who's constantly kicking Arsenal players all that time, saying, we don't play for nothing, we're not good enough, we're this, we're that. We're rattled. But they want to celebrate when they battled us 3-1 and Zinchenko and Jesus, and when they left for Arsenal and they had their better seasons and this and that. Oh, but they won things. Isn't it worse to win a thing and then celebrate in people's faces? Isn't it a sign of mockery that they've what? We know you're because I know people will say, we know you're good enough. Why are you flexing it on us?
Fine, do it. Let's see where it ends up. Come back at the end of the season. If they win the Premier League or Champions League, then we'll have this conversation. But right now, you're just pups. You're pups. And you're messing around with the big boys It's been there. Haaland's got all the medals.
We messed around with the big boys by beating them 5-1. We made them look small. We've made Man City look scared to play us again. The talk should have been about how Arteta has got the biggest one-up over his former manager. Jason Cundy's reaction to Erling Haaland throwing the ball, at Gabriel's head. This was his thoughts after the whole circus that Haaland did at the Etihad.
Simon, it says in front of me here that you think Haaland got away with murder. If that's what it says in front of me here. You think Haaland got away with murder?
I think his behaviour at the end was disgusting, what he said to Arteta. He's picked out a 17-year-old debutant and had a pop at him.
Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Sorry, Simon. Honestly, you're a wet wipe. Mate. You're a massive wet wipe, mate. You are. You're a massive wet wipe. You're saying you're saying of a 17-year-old. So that matters now. Does his age? Does it?
Well, if you're meant to be the best striker in the world, you'd think you'd rise.
Get out of my face.
Thank you.
Do me a favour,
Simon.
Well said to the caller.
Honestly, mate. Like, Haaland as well.
Simon, it's
the sheer embarrassment of this guy, bro. It's sheer hypocrisy. Who cares? Who cares that we won and he done the celebration back at him? Who cares? Right back at you, bitch. Who's the wet wipe now? It's not even Erling Haaland that's the wet wipe. It's people like him. That's the biggest wet wipe. Yeah, Jason Cundy is the biggest wet wipe of the day, bro. Right back at you. We should be celebrating rivalries. This is what he said. But nah, Lewis Kelly gets a get back. Gabriel gets a get back. Arsenal get the get back. Oh, it's bad. Piss off. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Overall, I think he's only reacting like this because he's a Chelsea fan and he knows that Arsenal doing well, beating Man City. They failed to beat Man City last week and he's a bit rattled by that. Another thing is that he's rage baiting to try and get Arsenal fans to react, to be negative, to cuss him out because it drives traffic to the TalkSport industry, to the newspapers, their websites, to everything. You know, it's all kind of rage bait, but there's also like undertones behind it. Why are you celebrating a white person doing it, but then a person that is younger than you, that is of colour, doing it? I don't get it. You know, this is the same guy that celebrated Neil Maupay doing, the celebrations, the dart celebration against Tottenham, the celebrations against Martinez, the stuff he was doing in the Premier League. I just find it really bizarre. You know, we won 5-1 at the end of the day. Our performance should be celebrated. We look like champions. We're becoming one of the best teams in the league, despite having injuries, despite having refereeing decisions go against us. When something bad happens to Arsenal, everybody laps at us and tell us, oh, get on with it. But when they do something wrong and we win, it's signs of it reeks of jealousy and bitterness. And I think there's a massive problem with British media in general. I'll react to that in a separate video. I want to put it in this video, but the videos are getting longer. I don't want to make hour-long videos, and I want to get this video out. I think Jamie O'Hara's reaction to it was a bit more professional than I actually expected, considering the fact that he's a Tottenham player. You know, considering he's had many things that were negative about Arsenal, and fair enough. Do you know what I mean? He didn't really go in too deep about Lewis Kelly, and he sort of understood the assignment, being a footballer playing for Tottenham in the 2000s. So let me know what you think in the comments, guys. In a bit, people. In a bit. I'm out.